Today I am at one of Melbourne's best kept secrets, only 15 minutes from Tullamarine Airport, nestled in the Sunbury wine region. Marnong Estate overlooks the beautiful Macedon Ranges with an incredible wine list, 3 restaurants and an abundance of accommodation. This winery really is something special. I'm Lee and welcome to the Cellar Door. On this episode of the Cellar Door Australia, we are at Marnong Estate, only 30 minutes from Melbourne CBD. It's hard to believe with stunning views like these that we are so close to a capital city. Marnong Estate's vineyards were established in 2016 with a focus on planting a range of Italian and classic French grape varieties. The Italian varietals such as Fiano and Montepulciano offer a unique touch to the vineyard's portfolio, while Chardonnay and Pinot Noir represent the classic French contributions. First up, we're going to head to the picturesque restaurant La Vetta. We're meeting with brand manager Brodie to learn about the fascinating journey behind this iconic property. Brodie, thank you so much for talking to us today. We're at Marnong Estate, so close to Melbourne. Can you give us a history of the place?
So it started out as a sheep station. We actually have some wool sheds that are still on the property that are heritage listed. Its most recent incarnation is now a vineyard and we're building a winery. It was owned by the Angus family, so we still have the original Bluestone homestead on the property.
So Brodie, we're in the Sunbury wine region here, is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, can you tell me a bit more about that?
So the Sunbury wine region is the closest wine region to Melbourne CBD. It's also one of the oldest wine regions in Victoria. It was planted by the early pioneers of the region, mainly to Shiraz, so that's the variety that the region's most well known for.
Okay.
We sit within that region in the most northerly part of the Sunbury wine region, so we're the coolest site. And what that really means is that when you look at varieties like Shiraz, ours has a lot of the cool climate characters. It's got more of those like really beautiful savoury characters like olive, tapenade and rosemary and plum that really show that this is a cool climate site.
Apart from Shiraz, what other varieties do you have on the property?
So in addition to Shiraz, we also in 2016 planted Pinot Gris, Chardonnay and Pinot Noir. So, really classic French varietals. We are planting a new vineyard, which is on a more northerly site, quite different soil profile. It's got some really interesting river stones, which is quite unique and something that we haven't really seen before. So we're planting a 6-hectare vineyard there this year, which will have some new Italian grape varieties. We're planting some Sangiovese, Pinot Bianco, some Prosecco, and we're also planting a bit more Pinot Grigio. We already have some in our vineyard, but we need a little bit more there, and some Dolcetto as well.
What was the inspiration for establishing Marnong here in the north?
We created Marnong Estate because we were really missing out in the northern suburbs, not having a place like this. You go down to the south, to the Mornington Peninsula, they have all these incredible places like Point Leo Estate and the amazing spas. We deserve that here in the north. Yeah, we feel very fortunate to have this place here.
And it's great. So you're 15 minutes from the airport, about half an hour from the city.
Yeah.
You can get the bus up here if you don't want to drive.
Yeah.
This is a fantastic location. Anything else you'd like to say about the place?
So we have the vineyard, we have our accommodation, so we've got 10 cabins which overlook this amazing new vineyard that we've just planted, which is an amphitheatre vineyard, so very unique site amongst the other sites of our vineyards. Sit out on your cabin balcony, sip some Marnong wine, overlook the Chardonnay and Pinot Noir vines. We also have 2 restaurants. We have La Vetta, which we're sitting in right now, which has this amazing view outside of the mountains, which looks out on a clear day all the way out to Macedon Ranges.
Beautiful.
And we have Cucina, which is a bit more of our family style trattoria casual eatery with a beautiful atrium with glass roof, which is our more casual offering. Lavetta is more of our signature restaurant offering.
Sure, and we're all about sustainability and sourcing locally here. I'm assuming all that produce comes straight into these restaurants.
Yes. So we also have cattle on the farm as well, and we do work with as local suppliers as possible. And in terms of sustainability for the vineyard, we're moving towards sustainable viticulture with cover cropping and insectariums, and really focusing on healthy soils in the vineyard.
What's next for Marnong Estate? Do you have anything on the cards?
Well, this year we're actually building our new winery. Up till this year, we've had our wines made off-site. As of next vintage, 2024, we'll be employing a winemaker who will work here on the estate, and we'll have our own state-of-the-art winemaking facilities. We'll also have a really amazing cellar in the winery and a private dining room with its own kitchen, so we can host really intimate, amazing wine dinners. And then the future plans for Marnong is that we will have a spa. So, thinking about that Mornington Peninsula spa experience, people of the north will have that experience as well.
It sounds like some big changes are coming up for Marnong Estate. I think it's time, though, to delve a little more into the wine. I'm curious, what are some of the varieties that are being grown on the estate?
In addition to Shiraz, we also in 2016 planted Pinot Gris, Chardonnay and Pinot Noir, so really classic French varietals. Then in 2017 we planted some Italian varieties, really an ode to the Italian family, or Australian Italian family who own Marnong Estate. So
which one do we have here?
This is actually one of the varieties that we planted in 2017. So this is our Fiano that we planted. And we also planted Montepulciano in 2017 as well. There's a big Italian community in the northern suburbs, and then the Strano family are also Australian Italian. So, we want to grow Italian varietals in ode to, our community here in the north.
So Brodie, I'm not familiar with a Fiano. Can you give me a little bit of backstory on this?
Absolutely. So it's not really a very widely planted variety here in Australia. There are a few areas, the Granite Belt, McClenaghan Vale, Heathcote. There are some vineyards in WA that grow it as well, but in comparison to other Italian varietals like Sangiovese or Pinot Grigio, it's not as widely planted. It's a really interesting variety. It's originally from the Campania area of Italy, and it's also grown in Sicily. The really famous wine for Fiano is Fiano d'Avellino, which is typically a very textured style of wine with really bright acidity. And I feel that our Fiano really looks quite classic Campania. It's got this beautiful, really bright, citrusy, crunchy acidity, and then all these beautiful white flower aromas. It's lovely jasmine, it's kind of bouquet garni, nashi pear characters that are very typical of Fiano.
Cheers then.
Cheers.
Thank you. Oh wow, that's delicious. So for someone who had never tasted a Fiano before, what's a similar taste profile?
It's hard to just really describe it. It's so unique to itself. But I guess it's got that acidity that you get from Riesling, that really bright sort of citrusy acidity.
It's so clean though, like you get a burst of flavour and then it's gone.
It's really great to have with, richer dishes, because it's got that natural acidity. It just can really clean up your palate when you're having something like a creamy pasta or a nice fish with a buttery sauce or something like that.
That is delicious. What other varieties do you have on the property?
So in addition to the Fiano, we also grow Montepulciano. So that was planted at the same time as the Fiano. Then in 2020, we planted some more vines and brought in some more Italian. So we've got some Sangiovese as well. A few more classic French varieties. So we brought in some Malbec and Cabernet. With plans to make a super Tuscan blend in ode to the Tuscan wines. And we also planted a bit of Pinot Meunier, which is a lesser known variety, which is grown mainly in Champagne for making really premium sparkling. We're at the moment making the base wine for a vintage sparkling, which will be 5 years sitting on the lees before it's disgorged. So in 5 years, it'll be ready if you come back then.
Of course. Cheers to that. I certainly will be coming back here for some vintage sparkling. Join me after the break as we learn more about the Sunbury wine region, meet the vineyard manager, and dive deep into a wine tasting. Welcome back to the Cellar Australia. We're at Marnong Estate with brand manager Brodie. I've just had my first taste of Fiano, a new varietal for me. But what's got me curious though is how all these new varietals will hold up in the diverse climate of Sunbury. You said we're in a cool climate region here, but obviously it still gets hot here. How do those varieties hold up in both of those temperatures?
That's a great question. As the climate is warming in a lot of vineyard areas, a lot of people are moving towards growing Italian varietals, and the reason is that they hold their natural acidity when grown in warmer climates, so they're really adaptable. We find that even in the warmer years, you still have that really good bright acid that makes it a really well-balanced wine.
Brody, how does that compare to the French varieties?
With the French varieties, some of those higher acid varietals like Pinot Noir and Chardonnay, as the climate's warm, they tend to lose their acidity. So that's one of the reasons why we grow those Italian varietals, is that having those varieties that really can handle the heat and keep that natural bright acid. We've sort of got something for everything that the seasons throw at us, really.
Which they do here.
Yeah, yeah.
So we're sitting here right now in Lavetta. Can you tell me a little bit about the restaurant, the cuisine, the story?
Absolutely. So Lavetta is a more refined style of Italian cuisine. We make all handmade pasta here. And we also have a beef program where we make dry-aged beef with the traditional Italian bistecca, which you find in Tuscany.
Bistecca, talk me through that.
So the big, it's the really big steaks that are cooked over coals.
Ah, yes, yes.
And we dry-age our beef, so you get this really beautiful, like quite rich character through the dry aging. Lots of sort of caramelly, popcorny flavours, which are really interesting. Cucina is a more rustic sort of family offering with the pizza pasta, whereas here we've got the more refined sort of signature offer. Yeah.
All right, I think it's time I stretch my legs. We're going to leave Brody here and head outside to meet with Carl Duncan, the vineyard manager.
So today we're in our Block 1 Shiraz. These are actually the original planting here on the estate.
Yeah.
We're a little bit behind this vintage, cooler start. We're holding up pretty well, to be honest. So we're in a good spot, a little bit of warmth and we'll get there. For the whole vintage, it's been, a little bit delayed, everything, but we're about 70% through. So happy with that. Would you like to try?
Oh, okay, yeah, I'd love to. Now you say you were a little bit delayed there. Was that because of it was just a cooler climate, lots of water going on? What was happening?
Yeah, combination. Wet vintage at the start in the spring.
Yeah.
And then cooler temperatures. Little bit, we've caught up a little bit through the early months, but not enough. You'll notice our Shiraz is
Delicious.
Well, hopefully. Sort of more white pepper, cool climate style. A little bit more altitude here than other parts of Sunbury, which, Sunbury's pretty famous for its Shiraz. Hopefully 2 more weeks and we should have this one in the bag.
Beautiful. Well, I don't know much, but that tastes great.
Thank you.
So, Carl, you were saying we're in a much cooler climate at the altitude we're at here in Sunbury right now. Can you tell me a little bit more about the region?
Sunbury's not a massive region, but, we've got some of the old vineyards in the area. Yeah, they have that more warmth there, where once you lift up a little bit higher like us, it takes about 1 degree off. So it will always make you that little bit more behind. But a little bit more acidity and also colour can help, so on those.
At Marnong Estate, you're all about sustainability, working with varieties that can grow in sort of all climates.
Yes.
Can you tell me about those varieties that you have here?
Yeah, so we've planted what we believe will work, number one, but also long term. So Sunbury as a region is lucky that we don't have yet any phylloxera in the area.
Great.
But to safeguard, we've put ourselves on a phylloxera resistant rootstock, which is also gives us some drought tolerance. The varieties that we've chosen, the Italian varieties, should be very suited to this area. New plantings coming on soon of Sangiovese. Additional plantings will go in of more Sangiovese, a little bit of Pinot Bianco and a little bit of Dolcetto.
With those varieties, Carl, can you tell me a little bit about how that works for them in those warmer climates?
The warming climate, as we're experiencing, the varieties that we're putting in on the new plantings, they retain their natural acidity. They're more suited to that warming climate. So we will be growing and making quality wines from the fruit.
Thank you so much for talking to us today. Beautiful place you have here, and wish you all the best for the future.
Thank you very much.
That's all for now. We're going to dive into some Chardonnay with Brody after the break. Welcome back to the Cellar Door. We're headed to the beautiful event space at Marnong for a wine tasting. We're going to be sampling several different wines, including a totally new varietal to me, the Montepulciano. Okay, Brodie, so we've had the Fiano. What else are we getting to taste today?
I've got some Chardonnay for you to try first. So our Chardonnay actually comes from this block over here, and there's another from the amphitheatre block as well. So a classic French variety, which is one of the more traditional varieties you see grown in a lot of cool climate wine regions, can be made in lots of different styles. So in the 80s, your mum might have drunk the style, but they're really buttery oaky styles, and can be made in quite a lean, really acidic, quite bright style. Ours sits sort of towards that leaner style, but it's got a nice creaminess and texture to it. We don't use a lot of new oak for our Chardonnay, so just 10% of new French oak, and then the rest is all old French oak. We're not really looking for a really oaky wine that overpowers all the flavours of the Chardonnay, but just something just to add a little, a little bit of seasoning to the wine.
Yeah, it smells very light.
You can smell a little bit of that oak in there, that sort of toasty nuttiness.
Wow, that's really smooth and silky. Yeah, nothing like mum's.
No.
No.
I mean, don't get me wrong, there's a place for those wines, and there are still people that really enjoy them, but we just like to see a little bit of balance with that bright acid and that more citrus and those lovely stone fruits that come through. For me, this wine is like walking through an orchard in spring. You've got all that nectarine and apricot, and it's just, jumps out of the glass.
Is this one of your favourite wines?
Can you tell?
I can tell. Yeah, delicious.
Thank you. I mean, I didn't make it, but yeah.
Moving on from the Chardonnay, where are we off to next?
So next I'm going to pour for you our Shiraz, which I spoke to you about earlier, which is the variety that the Sunbury region is really well known for. So we've got, as I mentioned, quite a cool site here. So what you see in the Shiraz compared to some of the warmer, more southerly sites of the Sunbury wine region is that it's a bit more elegant, a bit more finesse. Got really beautiful, quite savoury characters in the wine, some olive tapenade and rosemary, and this really gorgeous plum, which is what you often see in cool climate areas of France. The Northern Rhone is famous for growing Shiraz, and I feel like when I smell this, it smells so much like a Northern Rhone Syrah. And so I think it's quite a unique wine in this region because it's quite different from the more warmer site.
Oh wow, it's really light, but yeah, the rosemary kicks in. Love it.
Imagine having this with like a slow braised lamb shoulder or something.
Like roast potatoes.
Yeah. Nice because it's got some tannin and some structure to it, but they're really fine tannins and
so savoury.
It's a wine that will age really well as well. So for those that like to cellar, it's a good wine to hold on to.
Okay, good to know. Is this one of the wines that we were speaking about before? Obviously, cool climate here, but as it starts to warm up, still a really good variety.
Yeah, it'll just change. You'll start to see more sort of ripe fruit characters, like more jammy kind of raspberry, plum, ripe plum characters, and those olivey characters and rosemary and all the savoury characters tend to dissipate as the sites get warmer.
So Brodie, is this one of the original varieties on the property?
It is, yeah. So we planted this in 2016, and it was one of the more widely planted varieties in our vineyard, being the variety that the Sunbury region is really known for, and the potential that we could see in this site to make really premium cool climate Shiraz. And we have recently actually grafted some of the Shiraz over to other varieties. So I talked about the new plantings that came in 2021 of the Pinot Meunier. That was one of the varieties that a little bit of our Shiraz got grafted over to.
Lovely. All right, what are we up to next?
So next we're tasting the Montepulciano.
Okay.
So this is another one of our Italian varieties. So planted in 2017, at the same time as the Fiano. It's the second most widely planted grape variety in Italy, but again, like Fiano, not really widely planted here in Australia.
I've never heard of it.
Not many people have, yeah. But like the Fiano, it's got that lovely natural acidity, and so is really great for growing in cooler or warmer climates because it retains its natural acidity even in the warmer areas.
Sure. And what are we expecting to taste here? Like, what's some comparisons that I could look out for?
If you're a Shiraz drinker,
Yeah.
or a Cabernet drinker, but you want something that sits in between, I'd say it sits in between in terms of body.
Okay.
It's a bit richer than a Shiraz, but it's not as full-bodied as a Cabernet. It's got really bright acid, and it's quite fruit-driven as well. So, yeah, if you like, quite a fruity wine, then the Montepulciano would be a great one to go for.
Region in Italy where it originally came from?
Mainly from the Abruzzo region. That's the most famous region, which is in central Italy. But it's grown widely in central Italy all the way down to the south. So Puglia is another area that's really well known for. But yeah, as I mentioned, it's the second most widely planted variety across Italy. So quite
Everywhere.
Yeah. But in Australia, not so much. So quite, it's quite unique, and I just love that natural acidity that you get in Italian varieties. So versatile for food and wine matching. And
the aroma of that is incredible.
Yeah, it's that amazing,
So much going on.
dark cherry, quite aromatic. It really jumps out of the glass, doesn't it?
Certainly does.
Yeah. This is one that the Italians that work here have said that they feel it reminds them the most of home.
Oh, wow. That's a massive compliment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But as you can see, it's got more sturdy tannins than that Shiraz. So, there's a bit of grip there on the palate.
Absolutely.
Be amazing with, a piece of bistecca or
Delicious.
a rich ragu, with a red sauce. Yeah.
Okay, I'll definitely be picking that one up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the colour in the glass is amazing there.
Yeah, it's got that really deep kind of dark plum colour in it, doesn't it?
Yeah. Thank you so much for that, Brody.
Cheers.
Thank you. What a day we've had at Marnong Estate. We've delved into the rich history of this remarkable destination, from its origins as a sheep station to the thriving vineyards we see today. We've enjoyed a wine tasting that showcased the distinct cool climate flavours of Sunbury, including the elegant Chardonnay, the savoury Shiraz, and the unique Italian varieties like Montepulciano. With its stunning landscape, exceptional dining, and a wide array of wines, Marnong Estate stands as a testament to the synergy between history and modernity. Until next time, thanks for watching The Cellar Door. Join us next time as we continue our exploration of Australia's finest wineries.